Attention deficit disorder is defined by the Oxford University Press as any range of behavioral disorders occurring primarily in children, including such symptoms as poor concentration, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Between 1996 and 2005, the pharmaceutical industry tripled its spending on marketing behavioral-modifying drugs, including a five-fold increase in direct-to-consumer advertising. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, by 2011, about 6.4 million children had been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. My name is Madison Caruso, and I am one of those 6.4 million. This is my story. My brain is already a little bit overstimulated, which is why I have ADD. And what it would do, it was overstimulate it to the point where I would hyper-focus on things. Gail Caruso is a paraprofessional at Housatonic Valley Regional High School. She has worked with all types of students, including those with behavioral disorders, for 10 years. She's also my mom.
For years, she's been saying, you know, I'm very unfocused, I can't get focused. And I know, I think I'm definitely ADD, no question about it. And, you know, it was the fear of God and my father that's how I knew there was something that was helping my behavior as I was growing up. Like I had the threat of I would be in trouble, so I had to really focus myself. So I definitely saw in Madison that she was, you know, definitely had some ADD issues. Her doctors, you know, provided us with surveys, and we had to have one of her teachers had to participate, and then I had to fill out something. Her dad, who she lives with part-time, had to fill out something. And then the doctor obviously made the call that she was, and he also said, I'm going to prescribe this drug to her. If she in fact has ADD or ADHD, when she takes this, you will know. The most common drugs used to treat ADHD are amphetamines. First developed in Germany in the 1880s, they were used extensively in World War II for their stimulant and performance-enhancing effects. By the 1970s in the U.S., amphetamines became illegal as a Schedule II controlled substance under the Controlled Substances Act. Dr. William Graff is a renowned neuroscientist and has a great influence on the studies of ADHD. He has also been featured on television programs and has published many medical papers and articles on the topic.
Well, just the volume of drugs is just enormous. In the last 20-some years, the amount of methylphenidate that's been manufactured has gone up 10 or more fold. So there's just a lot more drug out there. The influences of direct-to-consumer advertising are enormous, and this is the only country in the world that really allows it. So people are being influenced subtly, sublimely, about the importance of taking these medications.
There is a growing debate over whether or not ADHD even exists. Those that agree on its existence still debate over appropriate methods of treatment. Even my mother was on the fence until she had her own firsthand experience.
We had a student that was, you know, unbeknownst to me, he was on medication and striving, doing really well, very focused. His grades were wonderful. And then all of a sudden I noticed a big decline in all of that. So I remember asking the co-teacher, you know, what's the deal? And he decided that he wasn't liking the way the medicine was making him feel, so his parents were taking him off for a short time. But when they took him off, he was completely underwhelmed. He was not the outgoing person that I met when I first came, and his grades definitely reflected the change. Seeing that firsthand definitely changed my outlook on medication.
Tim DeNevy is the author of a book, Hyper, which is a personal memoir on his experiences with radical treatment for ADHD. The book also discusses the science of ADHD and different ways for patients and parents to handle the disorder.
And I felt that whenever people talk about ADHD in our culture, it's always in terms of extremes. Either it's a strictly biological disorder that should be treated in the way you treat bad vision, you know, glasses, or it's something that doesn't exist at all and it's completely culturally caused or the fault of parents. And what kids need to do is just, you know, straighten up and ship out or whatever people say, and it would all go away and be better. I don't think that any parents are looking to put their children on medication. When you're on medication, one thing I read about is it feels that there's something wrong with you. And it's either so wrong that only a pill can make it better, so then it's not yourself or your own will that makes it better, or if taking medication doesn't make things better, it means that you're beyond saving.
Dr. Graff's stance is that ADHD does exist, but that in some cases, neural-modifying drugs are being prescribed too readily. He is also concerned that some doctors are too quick to jump to the diagnosis of ADHD when treating children.
I think most people who know the topic agree that when these symptoms are severe, that ADHD exists. I think the controversy comes when they're a lot milder. One of the most important issues about making the diagnosis of ADHD is that multiple people, adults, caregivers, teachers, and parents at different settings have to make the assessment. And recent studies show that that rarely happens. The teachers are not being asked as much as they used to be, and the doctors are too busy, and these assessments are going very quickly. Everybody has relative lapses in focus and concentration throughout the day. That doesn't make the ADHD diagnosis.
The danger in overdiagnosis of ADHD lies in the powerful narcotics used to treat it. Amphetamines used to treat the disorder have a physiological effect on the central nervous system in the user's body. The effects of amphetamines are similar to those of cocaine. Both produce increased alertness, but the effects of amphetamines tend to last 4 times longer than that of cocaine. I mean, it was really something that I wanted to, but after that it became something I didn't want it, and my parents still wanted to push me to do it because obviously I would sit down and like hyper-focus on my homework for an hour and literally just be like a drone, just sitting there doing my math, doing my writing, doing my reading, and getting everything done, which is, I mean, what parent wouldn't want that? But as the person taking the medication, I was so done with how that felt. So because I was hyper-focusing on things, it would help in my work sense, but everybody else felt like they were in my way. So I had like a massive attitude, and I have yelled at my boyfriend before for walking on the wrong side of me, when obviously there is no right side of me to walk on, but it was because I had like a bag on one side and I wanted him to walk on the other side. It was just ridiculously dumb stuff. Or I'd yell at my sister for even talking just because I wanted to be in silence, because I was just trying to do what I needed to do.
Madison's the kind of kid that she doesn't say anything until it's like out of control. And one day we were driving home from school and she had a nervous breakdown next to me. Like, she just started crying. I'm having serious anxiety. I'm having panic attacks. And I was like, how long has this been going on? And she said a few weeks, and she was just beside herself. I think especially in kids, it needs to be monitored more closely, because kids don't always have the best way of expressing their feelings and expressing how something is making them feel, especially in the terms of medication.
We have to be careful when we use the term misdiagnosis, but there is evidence to support the notion that many children who were diagnosed as having ADHD actually had sleep deprivation and sleep disorders, for example, so they're just not getting enough sleep. It's possible that people potentially with less experience would overlook an anxiety disorder which would potentially be treated differently, both medically and also socially. Ideally, no children will get medications for behavior. They'll just be whoever they are. They're allowed to become authentic individuals without the influence of neural modification. The current recommendations are to use parental training and other types of behavioral interventions.
Behavior therapy is a focus on responding to how the world responds to you, if that makes sense, as opposed to targeting the primary symptoms, which is just getting you to be less overactive and more attentive. I
know that it works for people, but for me it was more on my own developing tactics of what I needed to do, like setting myself a schedule. And like this year versus last year, I'm so organized this year, and I have folders for everything, and I set dates in my phone and reminders and alarms, so there's no way I'm gonna miss it. Now that it's been 10 months, my opinion on medication has definitely evolved. At the start of the movie, I definitely felt like medication should be the last option. And as my personal experiences and my life has changed a lot, I've realized that medication is really important. And for some kids' lives, it makes a very big impact. And at the same time, however, I still stand by my belief that there is over-medication. So we need to be more cautious when we're diagnosing these children, and after they have been diagnosed, we need to pay more attention to how we're medicating them.